Hi besties, Ala here. As someone who lives in Poland, European Union, I wanted to share a few surprises that I encountered while traveling in Turkey. Let me know in the comments if those things seem normal to you or you would be surprised too. First thing that was really surprising was the number of Turkish flags that were everywhere. And actually not only flags, but also statues of Atatürk. Everywhere we went, Izmir, Urla, Pamukkale, Ephesos, he was visible there either with statue, portrait or on a flag. It made me really curious about Turkish history, and people told me that he is viewed as a father of the country. I remember this one statue where he was pointing towards the sea and there was message written down to encourage Turkish people to make use of the sea as their natural resource. You could see his face in restaurants, on the bazaar, in the households. He is very respected by Turkish people and they seem really proud of their nation. The second thing that really surprised me were cats, literally everywhere. In some corners of the streets there were also cat food, and some people even tried to sell us cat food on the street so we could feed them. And we also talked to locals and they said that this is how God intended, because cats help to control rat populations. In my city, cats and dogs don't live on the streets, they are taken into shelters, and I have to say that recently we've been seeing some growth of rats populations. I saw rats in parks, in a city center. Definitely they have different approach in Turkey. The other thing that really surprised me was the amount of plastic that they were using in restaurants. It was common for cutlery to be wrapped in plastic and sometimes even plates. I think that this might be connected to the hygiene. I think I prefer a bit of plastic than getting food poisoning, because I heard a lot of scary stories about people getting sick in Turkey. Water in form of cup was also a bit of surprise for me, and in a lot of restaurants there were hygienic wet wipes. I felt pretty safe there. It seemed that Google Maps is a bit less popular there, maybe because Turkish people don't speak English that much, or maybe they just don't use Google Maps that much, but there are still some reviews and you can find nice places that seem safe. Another thing that surprised me were tourist prices. And the first thing was that there was no Uber and the only option was to get classic yellow taxi car, and they had their own waiting spots, and people told me that it's really expensive and it can even get more expensive when they see that you are a tourist, and I obviously looked very touristy. And we drove this once, and I have to say that it was pretty expensive. But I don't think that we got scammed or something. I think that's just effect of lack of competition. They just can have high prices because they are the only people who do this service. But okay, I can support local economy, and this wasn't as bad as the most touristic places, because their ticket for locals was like 100 or 200 liras, which is 2-3 euros, and for tourists it was 30 euros. So it felt a bit extreme. I agree, they should make it very accessible for locals, but making it like 100 times more expensive for tourists doesn't seem like a great move. We saw that in Pamukkale, which was super amazing, and Ephesos also amazing. I still recommend going there and just saying okay to this tourist tax. Let's support local economy. This is my favorite phrase to cope with this. Other thing that surprised me was that there were no price tags in a lot of places. You just had to ask the seller for the price, and he was saying something, and then you had the option to negotiate. They were really willing to lower the price if you were buying a few of the things, and their bazars were pretty crazy to me. The sellers were a bit pushy, they were calling you to enter the shop, and especially in Kusadasi, yeah, I don't know how to say this. Kusadasi? Okay, I got some consultation. Kusadasi, I think. Oh, this is so difficult. Anyway, at the bazaar there were available a lot of fake luxury items. I wasn't very interested in those because I just like good quality and the brand doesn't really matter. But I have to say that now when I see those designer things like Louis Vuitton or Prada something, I started to think that it's all coming from Turkey and the prices are highly negotiable, so it's not really that much connected with having some money or some kind of success status. Well, I also don't know if they are like coming from the same factory, from different factory. I know nothing. If you want to educate me in the comments, feel free. But seeing this was pretty surprising anyway. Another surprise was about coffee shop, because apparently some cafes are the places where old guys play some board games or do some betting. I don't know, but they don't drink coffee there, and I really wanted to drink coffee, and apparently cafe is not the correct thing to Google because you might be the only woman there. Yeah, I ended up in a place like this and I asked for the coffee and they told me that they need like 15 minutes to get the coffee machine started because everybody there apparently was drinking tea. Yeah, it was a fun experience. Would those things be surprising to you or it seems pretty normal? Let me know in the comments, and also if you want to see more videos about Turkey and also about Azerbaijan, then remember to subscribe. Currently I'm in my traveler era and I plan to visit more countries. I also was in Japan last year, but unfortunately I don't have films from there. Have a good one, besties, and stay happy and healthy.